All the hands went up. I was just talking briefly to Chris before we started. I woke up this morning and one of my Florida newsletters was talking about how all across the state of Florida, we're setting records for the coldest temperature that we've ever had. So it's a little chilly here this morning, so it's pretty funny. And I guess Chris says the Tennessee currently holds like the record of the coldest temperature on record. So I don't know where the global warming went, but it can come on back because it ain't supposed to be this chilly in Florida. I got a jacket on. I got my coffee, extra cup of coffee just to keep my hands warm. Like it's ridiculous. I feel like an old man today.
This is coming in clutch because I got Walter
Yeah.
a
Repping out the Epic jacket. He
custom
just got
made
me this.
custom made jacket that I took him at leadership retreat, and he was like, "I'm in Florida. I'm never gonna wear this." I said, "Dude, it's gonna be cold next week."
Yep. I
And here he
sure did.
is.
I said, wow, that's really nice, man. Thank you so much. But I'm never gonna wear this in Florida. And 2 days later, this is the second day in a row that I've worn it. I was asked to speak at our Veterans Day event in town, and same thing. Like yesterday was freaking cold, so I didn't even take it off. Like I gave the speech in a Hawaiian shirt and a half zipped Epic jacket. I'm like, I ain't taking this thing off. So it actually came in really handy. Chris
Shuttle
for the win.
driver, our shuttle driver at the resort was actually telling us about how he's like, yeah, it's going to be, might have some flurries in a couple of days. And I'm like,
Yeah,
I'm
right.
going back to Arizona with my
Dry
dry
heat.
weather. And right now, I mean, I shouldn't complain because it's like 55 outside right now.
Mhm.
And we have our doors open because that's how we sleep. So it's
Yeah,
67 in my house. So yes, I'm freezing.
nice. I love it. All righty. Well, we are two after, so we'll go ahead and kick this party off. Hopefully everybody's warm and cozy for the remainder. Let me do some quick screen share. We'll get started. All right. Everybody see the screen? Thumbs up. Good. Awesome. I don't typically use a camera, so I'm just making sure I got it pulled out right. All right. So question of the day. And I actually have do me a favor and use the chat and we'll break into some conversation a little bit later, but I have the mute turned off so you can unmute yourself if you want to. But in the past, how many buyers have you shown more than 10 houses to before they wrote an offer on a property? So how many buyers have you worked with, be it this year or in a previous year, that you showed more than 10 houses to before they wrote an offer? And I'll tell you a funny story, but not so funny now that I am where I'm at in my business. Early on in my career in Central Virginia, I would drive anywhere. I would show any house. Like I'm just building my business. So I would spend 8 hours in my car to drive around and show houses. And I had an Air Force buyer who was honestly, I should have fired him like forever ago. But I was like, well, I like having conversations with him. We're in the house, no big deal. But no kidding, we shopped for probably 2 years on and off. And actually, he never bought a house. I wound up moving to Florida before he ever purchased. It was crazy. So that's the big question for the day. How many buyers have you personally shown more than 10 houses to before they wrote an offer? I see Trina said not in the past month, but at least 50 homes over 6 months to one buyer. That is a lot of homes to show one buyer. Whew. Chris says, I currently have one, or I have one currently working with him about to hit over that. Another that I'll show two and then write a lowball offer on both. All right, so that's not too bad. Two is good. And nothing wrong with that at all.
It's good except for we'll write the offer and then it doesn't get accepted and then we move on.
Yeah.
Write an
And
offer
then
on the
you're right
next
back
one
to it.
and we're
Yeah,
right
no
back
doubt
to
about
it.
That makes perfect sense. All right. So that is the question we're going to try to fix today. So our guest speaker today, Nikki, is going to break this down for us. But today's call is all about agents who are either you're showing homes and you're not making any progress going from, okay, qualified buyer, let's look at some homes, let's write an offer on some homes. If you're not following that progression and it feels like you're just spinning your wheels, or if you keep hearing, well, we're still looking, we're not quite ready, we haven't seen what we want yet, we haven't found what we're looking for, and you're just spending tons of extra time that you don't need to be spending, and you want to help those buyers go from, okay, we're qualified, we've got our search parameters put together, let's, no kidding, go out there and confidently write an offer, find the house that we want, and get moving. So that's all of what we're going to talk about today on this particular call. Before we start, as you all already know, 4 commitments to every call that we do: have your video on. As I always say on my Zooms, if you are not driving, naked, or driving naked, there's zero reason why you can't turn your video on and stay engaged. If your video's off, I'm going to assume that you're not paying attention, which leads us into point number 2. Turn your distractions off for just a few moments. Dedicate 40 minutes of your time to learning something new that you can go execute. If you're sitting in on these calls and you're on mute and your camera's off and you're talking to somebody in the background, or you're checking your emails or on your phone, you're not getting the value that we're trying to convey out of these calls. So please have your distractions off and pay attention. Actively participate. If we ask questions, drop them in the chat. If you have a question at the end, come off mute and ask it. And there's no bad question. When we do breakout rooms or audience participation events, dive in on those things. That's how you're going to learn it the best. And then lastly, after you've learned something today, go freely share this information with somebody else. Knowledge is meant to be given away. So take what you can get from it, learn, implement it in your business and grow, and then go share it with somebody else so that they can grow too. Okay. So how many of your buyers right now do you think would confidently write an offer today if they had more clarity on what they actually wanted? Not the ones that you're like, yeah, I don't even think they want to buy a house. I think they're just wasted. They're just window shopping. But how many of your buyers right now do you believe would confidently write an offer today if they had clarity on exactly what they wanted and that's what they found? Drop that in the chat. And I think generally speaking, the answer is going to be all of my buyers, if they found exactly what they wanted and they had clarity on it, they would write the offer and they would buy the house. I see 1 to 2. Okay. So I'm just watching the chat here. 1. So I see a lot of really low numbers. I see 1 to 2. Is that because you're not working with a lot of qualified buyers right now? For the folks that are saying there's only 1, like how many buyers are you working with that are like, I'm just wasting time and tire kicking? It's because if you've got those buyers, you really need what you're going to hear today, but 2, it's okay to fire a buyer. Your time is valuable, and if they are not serious about the shopping process, then they're wasting your time and you're wasting theirs. So it's okay to say, listen, let's use what you learned today, right? Let's refine what we're talking about. Let's make sure we know exactly what you want. And if I put that in front of you and you're still not serious, maybe we talk again in 6 months. Maybe we talk again when your life dynamic has changed, and there's nothing wrong with that. So again, it's protecting your own time that you then get to pour back into your business to grow more. All right. So that things need to change moment. If you're spending hours lining up showings, you're driving house to house, we like it, but we're not going to write an offer on it. We like this one, but we're not quite ready. If you're spending weeks of your own time and you're just not getting anywhere with your clients, and other agents are out there showing a few houses and closing deals, this conversation that we have today should fix this problem for you. If you execute what you learned today, you should see a shift in that momentum, and you should be out there putting clients under contract faster and doing it more efficiently. So I'm just letting somebody in. Give me 2 seconds. Okay. You don't have to drop an X in the chat. I know you can all relate to this. This is the market that we live in. If you're not closing contracts with your buyers, then you're all feeling this. And it can be frustrating, right? The reason that so many agents say, well, I want to do listings instead, is because they feel like it's so much more extra work to work with buyers. They're going to drive around all day, and they're going to waste my time, and they're going to spend my gas money, and we're not going to write offers, right? When you can fix that problem, you really stop worrying so much about listings, and you just go, okay, well, now that I know how to put buyers under contract, let's just go put stuff under contract. Let's just close deals and make money. And it's a whole lot more fun that way. Trina says she needs more buyers. Well, we can talk about that all day long. All right. So say it with me. Things need to change. And they will. Starting with today, starting with Nikki breaking down her show and sell technique so that we can walk you through exactly how to get those buyers under contract, close more deals quickly, get paid, and then go grow your business. All right. Couple quick bullet points on why we talk about what we're about to talk about. And I'm not going to read them verbatim. You can look at the slide. Bottom line, when you learn to do this well, you will save yourself a ton of time. You will save yourself a ton of gas money. You will save yourself a ton of headache showing properties that nobody's going to write a contract for. You will speed up the process of putting clients under contract so that you can close deals and make more money. All right. It's not about showing your clients every house on the market that checks their boxes. It's about showing them the homes that they could actually picture themselves living in. Big difference between, yeah, this one checks the box, that one checks the box. One, the boxes might not be the complete picture. And two, even if it's checking some boxes, but they still can't really see themselves living in it, they're not going to write an offer on it. Okay, so step one, we're going to take Nikki's test. No studying required. Everyone's going to pass. Nikki, if you wouldn't mind, come off mute.
Hello, hello, everybody. Happy Wednesday. All right.
All right, so here's what we're going to do, folks.
Please don't put your response in the chat. I know it says here on the screen to type your reply in the chat. I don't want y'all to do that.
Too easy. So, Nikki, take it away. Walk us through the questions that they need to be asking. Break it down for them. What to ask, why to ask it.
Here's what we got, y'all. I'm going to ask you an 8-question quiz. You can type in the answers on your notes. If you don't want to type them on your notes, write them down on a piece of paper. And at the end, we're going to review all together. But great news, there's no report card at the end. So even if you fail, I'm not sending it to your parents. Okay?
Everybody passes.
All right. He was right all along. All right. I'm going to read every question twice. Some of them are going to be multiple choice. Some of them are going to be fill in the blank. Let's start on number 1. Ready? What is the first step before you show homes? Is it A, verify pre-approval or funds for purchase? Is it B, pick out homes? Is it C, schedule the showings? Is it D, set expectations? Or is it E, verify funds for purchase and pick out homes? I'm going to read it again. And again, make sure you write down your answer. What is the first step before you show homes? Is it A, verify pre-approval or funds for purchase? B, pick out homes? C, schedule the showings? D, set expectations? E, verify funds for purchase and pick out the homes. We all got it? Ready for number. Do not put your answers in the chat. Pretty please. Thank you kindly.
Quit cheating, Chris.
Okay. More importantly, don't put it because what if you're wrong? Yes. Don't tell no one else. Not yet, at least. Let's go to the next one. Number 2. This one is going to be fill in the blank. Ready? What are the 3 options for your client for every home that you show? I want you to write down what you believe the answer is. What are the 3 options for your client for every home that you show?
I'm thinking of a couple options. I'm not getting 3, so this should be good. For my clients, I'd be like, buy the damn home or don't. Those are only 2 options.
And I'm gonna need a thumbs up when you finish writing your answer. Please leave your thumb up so I can actually pulse where we're at. Only have 2 of us that are done writing answers, so we'll give it a little longer.
Yeah, we'll give them a minute. I'm not gonna hold my thumbs up. I'm too old.
Okay, I'm gonna ask one more time. Leave your thumb up if you've written your answers down. Let me take a check. Leave your thumb up. All right, all right. There we go. We're further along.
All right.
Okay. A couple of you have not put your thumbs up, but I'm going to trust that you'll
Not
catch.
anyway, yeah.
Let's go to number 3. Number 3, which question should you ask for every home that you show? Is it A, what are the restrictions of the property? B, how long has the property been on the market? C, can you see yourself living in it? D, is the home within the client's price range? Again, please do not put your answers in the chat. Please. Okay, let me read it again. Which question should you ask for every home that you show? Is it A, what are the restrictions of the property? B, how long has the property been on the market? C, can you see yourself living in it? D, is the home within the client's price range? Okay, let's move on to number 4. Whichever question that you chose previously is going to impact you here. Number 4, what is the follow-up question to the answer that you selected for number 3? What is the follow-up question to the answer that you selected for number 3? And this is a fill in the blank. I want you to write down, what do you ask them after you ask them the last answer? Are we ready for the next one? Thumbs up if you're ready for the next one. Sick. Let's do it. Okay. Number 5. Do we give the clients MLS sheets? Yes or no? Do we give the clients MLS sheets? Yes or no?
Ooh, that's an interesting question. I can't wait to hear the answer to that one.
Number 6. Every time you leave a home, you leave by A, ranking all the homes that are viewed, B, choosing only which home is the top home, C, determine the attitude of the client. I'm going to read it again. Every time you leave a home, you leave by A, ranking all the homes that are viewed, B, choosing only which home is the top home, C, determine the attitude of the client. Number 7. We're almost there. Number 7. How many homes should we show each client? 2 to 3, 3 to 5, 5 to 7, 9 to 10. Again, how many homes should we show each client? 2 to 3, 3 to 5, 5 to 7, or 9 to 10? Notice there wasn't an option for 11 or more.
50 over 6 months. Nope. Nope. Not happening. Dozens and dozens over a 2-year period. Nope. Nope. Don't do what Walt did.
And our last one, number 8, it's a fill in the blank question. When is the right time to argue with a client? When is the right time to argue with a client? Write down your answers. All right, all right. And again, I'm going to need thumbs up to know that y'all are done. I see 2 thumbs.
My thumbs are up in spirit. Not put
3, 4, 5 thumbs.
them up.
6 thumbs. 7 thumbs.
I feel like we're on Sesame Street and it's the count.
Yeah.
6 thumbs. Ah.
And then we go to Elmo.
Yeah.
Elmo.
We do that for showings too. 3 showings. Offer.
All right. Here's what's going to happen now. Are you ready? We're going to go over them together as a group. But here is my request. As we go through, I want you to put your check marks if you got it right, put an X if you got it wrong. But most importantly, I want you to write down the correct answer, because at the end, we're going to tie it all together very harmoniously.
Beautiful.
Okay? Let's start at the top. Number one, what is the first step before you show homes? Raise your hand if you said A. Let me read it to you just in case. A, verify pre-approval or funds for purchase. Raise your hand if you put B, pick out the homes. Raise your hand if you put C, schedule the showings. Raise your hand if you put D, set expectations. Raise your hand if you put E, verify funds for purchase and pick out homes. Raise your hand if you didn't raise your hand at all because you didn't want to be wrong.
I didn't raise my hand. I was listening.
The correct answer is D, set expectations. And the reason we set expectations is because if you do so, all those other steps of verifying funds, picking out homes, scheduling showings, all going to be easier once we've set those expectations. Let's go to the next one, number 2. Please tell me, what did you write down? What are the 3 options for your client for every home that you show?
If you guys want to answer this, put your hand up and we'll just come off mute and we'll throw a couple different ideas out there and then we'll let her give her the right answer there. So don't be shy if you've thought that through.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. I had really only 2 answers on that, which was write an offer or keep shopping. Like, so I'm interested to see what, if you came up with 3, I want to hear what they were.
Trina, and then we'll go to Chris after. Trina, what you got?
I also had pass on the home. And then the other 2 I had were, do you want to make a good offer that's going to get accepted, or do you want to make a low ball offer?
So for every home they look at, we could pass, we could write a good offer, or we could write a bad offer that's not going to win. Okay. What else?
Yeah, that doesn't include the ranking.
Sure. Chris?
Yeah, so you could do potentially like a lease to own or seller finance, creative finance type deal. There might be some people that aren't comfortable with doing a true purchase like a traditional sell. So from that side of things, a lease to own seller finance option.
So it's a lease to own seller finance option, or what were the others?
I mean, there's all kinds of ways to do creative financing or subject to, kind of figure some different things out there. So it just kind of depends on the situation. You could just write a clean traditional cash or mortgage sell or creative.
Okay, so you had traditional or creative as your answer. Does anybody else have the 3 options for your client for every home that you show them?
I had pass on there as well,
Oh,
but
pass. Okay.
yeah.
Very well. I'm going to tell y'all the answer. I want you to write it down word for word. You can purchase, you can have a high level of interest, or you can eliminate. You can purchase, you can have a high level of interest, or you can eliminate.
I like it.
Let's go to number 3. Number 3, which question should you ask for every home that you show? Raise your hand if you said A, what are the restrictions of the property? Raise your hand if you said B, how long has the property been on the market? Raise your hand if you said C, can you see yourself living in it? Raise your hand if you put D, is the home within the client's price range? The correct answer is C, can you see yourself living in it? Because those other 3 questions should have already been answered. We should not be discovering those while we're showing. We should not be showing up like, what are the restrictions? How long has this been on the market? And is this in your price range? Should have already established that. So the only thing left is, can you see yourself living in it? Let's go to the next one. What did y'all write down for the follow-up question to can you see yourself living in it?
So I just put very simply, if not, why?
Okay.
Because in my mind, if we've already walked through their expectations, we know size, shape, price, location, all of the stuff, and they can't see themselves living in a home that we already built expectation for, why? What's different here? That's what I put.
Nice. Chris?
So, yeah, so I put at what price point, given current condition, would you feel comfortable making an offer?
Okay. Anybody else?
what needs to happen in order to what needs to happen to get it.
And what
needs
needs to happen to make it something
make
you
it
could live in?
happen? Yeah.
I like it.
Okay. Amber.
I went with the, are you prepared for the next steps? Is this something you can feel like you can comfortably afford at this price, or do we need to negotiate?
Okay. So, Cynthia, go ahead.
Oh, that's right. What does that look like? Getting them to expound more on what it is that how they see themselves in the house to help
Yeah.
build that excitement.
Thank you. So it is both Cynthia and Walter's response. After you say, can you see yourself living in it? The next question is why or why not? We're not talking offers. We're not talking financing. We're not talking money yet. I need you to tell me all the reasons this works or doesn't work, because that's how we write offers.
Yeah.
And
I like it.
that's what saves you the headache of showing more homes that do not align. Oh, you couldn't see yourself living in this one because it felt too small at 1,300 square feet. Well, that eliminates us looking at any more properties that are in the XYZ square footage. Okay, and you didn't feel comfortable because this property had an outdated fireplace. You wouldn't want to do the repairs on it. Let's no longer look at anything else with outdated fireplaces. So you're gonna let them talk and talk and talk on why or why not.
Nice.
This, y'all, and I'm gonna tell you in real transparency, this is the difference between agents who do a ton of deals and agents who wonder why they keep showing. Because our goal is, can we write offers? That is not your client's goal. Your client's goal is this the one that I want? But we spend more time and money making it happen, which is an us thing, rather than a what's your vision? Is this the one? And if you can spend more time there, your whole question, your line of questions will change because you're refocused on your client, not yourself. Okay? Let's go to the next one. Number 5, do we give the clients MLS sheets? Raise your hand if you said yes. And raise your hand if you said no. I have great news. No matter what you wrote down, you're correct. But I'm going to tell you all of your disclaimers. Ready? If you're going to give somebody an MLS sheet, make sure that it is the client copy. You don't want the listing agent's information on there. But more so, I want to remind you, some of you have had the pleasure of working with ornery clients who ask a ton of questions. And by giving them MLS sheets, they may be more distracted rather than experiencing the home. And now they're looking at, well, this one has 0.01 more acreage, and this one is X price per square foot. And now they're no longer experiencing, they're distracted. So with people like that, instead of giving them MLS sheets, I highly encourage that you are writing the address down with a series of blank spaces underneath, and writing an address and a series of blank spaces so that they can take their own notes and call you with any additional questions.
I like that.
You mean you want us to talk to our clients?
I know.
What?
I know.
I have a question regarding this. I had a very difficult client, just like you mentioned right now.
Mhm.
So I send it to her through Zillow. Is that right?
No.
I would,
Oh,
yeah, I would highly recommend against that.
Yeah.
On Zillow, that also presents information, which you and I can agree is a lot of guesstimates, right? Lots of guessing what your payment's going to be, guessing what the neighborhood overall value is, guessing, and that is going to be something that more likely is going to harm you, because they're going to say, with the resource that you gave me, it said that I should have expected blank. Zillow says that it's 20,000 less, even though everything in the neighborhood is selling for this higher price point. So you don't want to give them inaccurate information, and Zillow is guessing.
Yeah. As a general rule, never send your client something that's going to take them away from you.
Mm-hmm.
So don't send them a Zillow link. Don't send them a realtor link. Don't send them a homes.com link. If you're going to send them information on a property, it should be your MLS link or your custom website that they're going to. Don't ever send your client away from you.
Mm-hmm.
What if they take the address and they put in Zillow and they're like, oh, I saw it in the Zillow.
That's fine, because we're not going to get away from that. We're not going to get away from them going to look. And at that point, though, I want you to be equipped with anyone who comes to you and says, I saw it on Zillow, to have the confidence to say, completely understand. And Zillow is a really good tool for finding out averages, for finding out guesses and ranges, but it's not a good tool for things that are exact. After all, Zillow has never walked inside a home. Zillow has no idea of the details of what the neighborhood feels like. And for those reasons, Zillow's best bet is to make guesses. So we can treat those things as guesses, but as for concrete feelings of neighborhoods and homes, that's why you and I are looking together. See what we just did there? Okay.
Awesome.
Good. Great question. All right, let's keep going. I'm excited to hear the rest of these answers.
Let's go to the next one. Number 6, every time you leave a home by A, ranking all the homes that are viewed. Raise your hand if you put ranking all the homes that are viewed. Okay. Raise your hand if you put B, choosing only which home is the top home. Okay. Raise your hand if you put C, determine the attitude of the client. Yo, we got split answers here. Okay. The correct answer is B, choosing only which home is the top home. And you know why, y'all? You can rank all their homes, but they're not buying their top 3.
Yep.
They're looking for one. And you can determine the attitude of the client, but you're not a good judge of character, because you may take somebody's silence and calmness for a lack of enthusiasm in making an offer. And you may mistake somebody's bubbliness for more motivation than is actually there, which is why we ask more questions rather than determining what we believe is the attitude.
You've seen a theme here, everybody, about asking good questions and then listening to see what the real answers are. This is solid.
Let's go to number 7. You ready? How many homes should we show each client? Raise your hand if you put 2 to 3. Raise your hand if you put 3 to 5. Raise your hand if you put 5 to 7. And raise your hand if you put 9 to 10. Weird.
And put a thumbs down if you said more than 10. No, no.
Now, the correct answer is 3 to 5. But I'm going to tell y'all right now, every top agent that I personally work with in the country is doing 2 or 3. That's how much upfront work they're doing before they ever go to show property. The reason that we struggled showing a shitload of homes is because we did a shit job on discovery. Sorry to tell you. That's our hard, cold truth, y'all. Okay?
Solid.
We're going to go to the last one. When is the right time to argue with a client?
I think
Never.
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 I see a lot of nevers. I'm going to be the dissenting voice on that. When their expectations aren't aligning with what you're doing. If you framed your expectations and you set out your criteria and this is what we want, this is why we want it, this is how this works, and their actions are contrary to what you thought the expectations were, now's the in a professional way, of course, now's the time to argue, hey, I thought you said A, B, and C, but it's looking more like C, D, and E. Let's have a conversation and get back on the same page.
And to be fair, Walter, I would say that's still not arguing. That's accountability.
Yeah.
Right?
That's fair.
That's
I
accountability.
agree with Walter.
Yeah.
I do the same way.
And keep in mind, y'all, arguing is different than hard conversations. Arguing is where somebody else, you're putting them on an opposing side. When you put someone on an opposing side to where they feel defensive, you are arguing. So the correct answer is never. The correct answer is never. However, Walter is right in holding someone accountable, but that is not an argument. You are asking for clarity. One of the things that I harp on is objection handlers. The best objection handlers are really quality questions, not you lecturing, not you answering, not you telling them the stats about the market. High quality questions that lead to self-discovery is your best form of an objection handler. Okay? And objections don't have to be arguments. That being said, I promised we were going to wrap all of this together very harmoniously. So that's what we're going to do now. Are you ready?
Yep.
Here's what this looks like in real life. I'm going to use Walter as my example. Walter and I are standing. We're not sitting, Walter. Crisscross applesauce, not yet. We're standing in a driveway. As we're standing in the driveway, here's what the conversation looks like. All right, Walter, for every home that we look at today, we're going to have 3 options. We can purchase, we can have a high level of interest, or we can eliminate. Which means at the end of every home that we look at, I'm going to ask you 3 questions. The first question is, which home is your top home? Now, obviously this is our top because it's the first one that we've seen. And then when we go to the next one, I'm going to ask you again if that becomes our new number 1, because I know, Walter, your goal is not to find your top 3. Your goal is to find the 1. The second thing that I'm going to ask you is, can you see yourself living in it? Which means as you go through the home, I want you to picture coming home from work here. I want you to picture celebrating holidays here. I want you to picture, and you're going to tell them what you want them to envision. Which means if I know that Walter likes, tinkering with cars, I'm going to ask him to picture doing that in the garage. If I know that somebody loves gardening, I'm going to ask them to picture gardening. If I know that somebody walks their kids to school, I'm going to ask them to picture the walk to school from here. Whatever personal details you have, you are throwing into that question. And then you're going to, once you've said that, you're going to tell them, and the third question, Walter, is why or why not? Let's go into the property.
Love it.
That's your deal. Here is an additional note, y'all. And I'm telling you this from having heard it from experts. So many homes have a Ring doorbell or have videos inside of the property, which means I'm warning Walter, my client, in advance, don't say a word about this house while we're in it. Because I don't want my sellers to go back and to listen and to say, well, for Walter, he's going to have to pay full price because he thought that we needed to change the counters inside. This is my perfect home. He didn't like that we had a flag outside, and that means that our values don't align. You're going to help your clients to feel as though you're in the same corner together rather than leaving them in a pickle. And we don't know why we're having such a hard time trying to negotiate with the listing agent. That also helps your client to feel more that you are on the same team. You're collaborating with them, looking out for them together. So since I've told Walter that in advance, I will tell Walter throughout the home, if he starts to say a little too much, I'm going to look at Walter and I'm going to go like this. Let's wait till we get out there. Yeah? And then when we're back in the driveway, I want him to explode with all of his feelings and his thoughts of how he feels about the property.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's such a good point. If you've not done a bunch of listings or a bunch of showings yet, if you're a newer agent, more and more and more homes have Ring doorbell cameras on the porch. I'll tell you, my personal home, I have a Ring doorbell camera on my porch, but I also have motion tracking video cameras on the corners of my house where floodlights are usually at because nobody looks there. Some people have video cameras set up inside their home so they can monitor their interior while they're on vacation. And when they sell that home, they tend to monitor the home while they're not in it by habit. So there's a ton of recording devices. And even though most states require disclosure of a recording device, a lot of times the conversation doesn't come up with the seller, or they're like, oh, no, we don't have any recording devices in the house, and they completely forget about the Ring doorbell camera. She's 110% correct on this. Preface that with your clients to mentally think about everything, but don't say anything until they get out of the house. 100%.
Now, here's the perk, y'all. How many of you have done one-day showing agreements? Raise your hand. Where you've just ended up showing property for a little bit. Okay. Only a few of you, some of you know. Okay. Here's the note, y'all. Do you think that their other agents that they've gone to look at property with have given them any experience like this? Do you think that they're walking them through and making sure they have a detailed luxury experience? No. So you're already steps ahead. And the opposite is true as well. If you're the first agent they go with, and then they go to look with somebody else, they're going to be wondering, why isn't this person asking me questions? Why didn't they tell me to look out for the camera? Why didn't they tell me? Which is going to give you the upper hand in the experience that you provide. This is the part where Walter said, remember, if you will actually implement what you just heard, you will be a different type of agent for having used these very elementary steps. It's just a matter of application. Here's the second perk to this. Even if you're on a scenario with a lead where you're like, well, son of a bitch, Nikki, I already showed him. Sorry, I don't know if I'm allowed to curse, Walter.
It's your show. You do what
Son
you
of a
want.
biscuit. Son of a biscuit. I've already shown him 10 properties. What do you want, Nikki? I want you to start like this. Walter, since those last 10 haven't worked, here's what we're going to do differently. For every property that we look at, we're going to have 3 choices. At the end, I'm going to ask you these 3 questions. This works at any time to reassess. Okay? Now I have-
Reframe those expectations before you show more houses. Yeah.
I have one last thing for y'all, but I don't want to disturb the PowerPoint in case it comes up in a PowerPoint later. But I do want to tell y'all this one other thing. Amber, did you have a question?
I do. Would you advise giving your clients, something to take notes on, like having any of this written out for them so they can put notes as they're walking through?
Remember we talked about having, instead of an MLS sheet where you just put an address and you put little blank spots underneath?
Yeah, doing that for all of them.
That's my preferred method.
Okay,
That way they
thank
can
you.
continue to put those things through.
I absolutely love that, Nikki. So I'll be the first to admit that I'm that guy because the way I process information and the way I like to, I'm a nerd. I like to absorb all the data. So I just assume my clients would appreciate that, which is not necessarily the best way to approach it. I have always, if I'm going to show 4 houses that day, I have always printed out 4 customer facing, not the realtor facing, MLS sheets, labeled them each 1, 2, 3, 4. And on the very first showing, meet you at 123 Main Street. Here's all of the houses we're going to look at today. And I hand them all of them, assuming that that's good, valuable information for them. And I never considered how distracted that might actually make them when I need them to be paying attention, just like I am, to the actual houses we're walking through. So I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm literally going to create a buyer client feedback form with just a few key questions built around, could you see yourself living here? What did you like the most? What did you like? I'm just going to, and that's what I'm going to do from now on. I'm never going to hand out another distracting MLS sheet again. That was fantastic. Trina, I see your hands up. What's up?
Yeah, so I have a buyer seller guide that I give to every buyer that I take out, and I also give it to my sellers. My title company did it for me, but in there's a sheet for buyers, and it's got just four slots on it, and it's got feedback. It's got it's got where they put the address, the price, and then things that they like or didn't like about the house, and that seems to be helpful. But I agree with you. I'm reconsidering giving out the MLS sheets too, because I usually give them an MLS sheet for every single house too.
Yep.
So I have 2 additional notes for y'all I definitely want to cover with the time that we have.
Yeah.
Okay. The first one is this. How many of you have heard a client say somewhere around house 4 or 5, was it that property or that property that had the blah, blah, blah?
100%. And that is exactly why I used to tell my clients, here's why I'm giving you an MLS sheet on all of them so that you can write your own notes on it before we go to the next house so you don't forget what you looked at.
And more importantly, y'all, this is the whole reason that it is actually in your client's best interest to look at less. It is truly in your client's best interest, and I will tell them so. If they present a list of 10 or 20 properties, I'm going to tell them, let's pick your top 3 that you're most excited about, the ones that you're hoping most are going to work, and look at those first. And if for any reason those 3 do not work, we can continue to look at the rest of the list. But by doing so, I'll tell you, Walter, that I've seen with other people, we go and by the time we're on house 4 or 5, things start to muddle and all of a sudden we're confused about which property looked like which. So let's start with your top 3. That doesn't even feel like I'm telling them no. It doesn't feel like an argument. It's looking out for your client's best interest.
I
Okay.
love that. That's fantastic.
Here is your second thing. Your discovery phase is a buyer consultation. I don't care if your lead owns property and has done it before, they still need a buyer consultation with you. Okay? That is the part where we are setting all of the expectations. But no matter what you have set up for that, this is the thing I want y'all to implement when you leave. These are your 3 things you're going to ask every person in a buyer consultation. The first thing is this: I want you to tell me what are your must-haves, which means that if a property does not have those, we will not go to take a look at it. This list should be short. The next thing is I want you to tell me your wants. This list should be the longest. And then I want you to tell me your deal breakers, which means that if a house has it, we will not go to take a look at it. This list should be short. Do you hear the boundary language within that? That is you being a professional decision-making assistant, which all of us in this room are. We are in the business of helping people to make choices. It's not enough for you to say deal breakers and must-haves because you never go back to it and you never set the expectation of why those things matter, which is that we should or should not be looking at properties according to what is with that. Okay?
Love that.
How
And
much is short for the must-haves?
Short could be 3 things. Short could be 5 things. But the whole point is that we won't look at a property without it, which means that if you read their list and they have that they want a pool and they want an acre and they want da-da-da, you're going to be able to show them that there are 0 homes with their must-haves if it's too many things, right? Which tells you we're not looking at any properties because we just agreed that we're not going to look at anything unless it has this. So now you've saved yourself time from looking at properties that are not right, which means they individually would have to assess if it's a must-have or a want if they want to start looking at properties.
makes perfect sense. And I think that discovery phase is you can't skip it, because what you just said earlier about walking them through the visualization of the home before they step into the home. I want you to think about your kids playing in the backyard. I want you to think about gardening and making those world famous tomatoes that you make, whatever it is. You won't actually know what to tell them to visualize if you don't have a good buyer consultation and get to know them a little bit.
Yes.
You'll have nothing to say.
And if you're the type, I know some of you are here because you're like, Nikki, every time I leave this call, I implement immediately. And those of you that just need to hear something once, this is an extra something. If you'll ask the question, what is it about the place that you currently live in that you like? That tells you stuff that's not in the MLS. I like that my 12-foot Christmas tree fits. I like that whenever I come home, the windows are always da-da-da. Okay, well, that's actually the experience that you're looking to help them to picture. And whether they are renting, whether they're living in their mom's house, whether they're living in a home that they own, they all have things that they love within the property that they're already in. And that is what's drawing into what can I tell you to picture later.
Love it. Makes perfect sense. All right, I'm going to make an executive decision because we only have about 10 minutes left. We're going to skip the breakout room. I think this was a great exercise, and Nikki kind of already prefaced how the breakout room will go by doing the role play with me. So let's just open up the last couple minutes here for Q&A. I want to hit this slide really quick, and then we'll just open it up for questions, and we'll refine from there. I want you to think about what you heard today. And I want you to go back through all of your active buyers, whether you've talked to them recently or not. If you have an MLS search set up for somebody, if you have somebody on a drip campaign, every single active buyer you have, I want you to mentally run through this scenario with them. And I'm going to guess that for the vast majority, you've never actually sat down and had that conversation with them. After you've went through your buyer list and you said, okay, let's I need to re-engage with these guys and re-engage with this one and this couple. We've been shopping for a while, but nothing really serious. Let's re-engage. I want you to put this into practice, because if you don't execute what you've learned, it was useless to you. You wasted your time. And go back and build that expectation out for every single one of your active buyers and see how that moves your business forward. As you frame the expectations, you get a better understanding of what they're looking for. And maybe you even go in and you say, you know what, now that I've done this exercise, Nikki just walked me through, what are your must-haves? What are your deal breakers? What are your wants? I'm going to go retool their MLS search, because I realize now that they were getting 10 or 15 property listings a week from me, and they're so broad that they're not interested in any of them. Let me fine tune this so that they're only getting maybe a few, but they really align with what they say they're looking for. So do that exercise for yourself for every single buyer you have and see where that takes your business. Okay. Real quick, if you're not already subscribed, I'm going to move through this really, really fast. You guys already know this. I want to open this up for Q&A. If you're not already on our newsletter, Misa will drop the link in the chat. It's free. Sign up for the newsletter. That way you get the replay of this call as well as the newsletter. You're welcome to share that with anybody. Again, we talked at the beginning, always give value away and share what you learned. One of the easiest ways to do that is say, hey, I have a recording to a really great call. Do you want a copy? We send out the recording in the newsletter. So if you're not already signed up, grab the link and sign up. All right. We already know that. I'm short on time, so I'm going to skip over it. Questions. Let's stop there. Nikki, I really appreciate this. This was fantastic. I've been doing business for a while. I sell a lot of homes, as does a couple other people's on this call. I picked up some tips today that I'm absolutely going to put into my own buyer side business. It was great. What questions, comments, thoughts do you all have for Nikki? Amber, I see your hands up. What you got?
So for me, every once in a while, and I do try to push back, and I'm trying to do a good job of meeting with everybody first. I'm a newer agent and I come from the lending side. So I'm retraining my brain to not look at the numbers and the money. But I get some pushback on people meeting me in person. Is how do you guys feel about doing it over Zoom or just a call?
So I'll throw this out real quick and then I'll let Nikki take over. In Walt's Key's opinion, the best way to build a relationship is through a genuine conversation. The best way to have a genuine conversation is face to face. But here's the reality. A Zoom call is face to face. We used to teach a call on how to do your buyer rep agreements via Zoom, because you're going to be able to hear them. You're going to still see their body language. You're still going to be able to ask all the right questions. You're just going to save yourself some time driving 25 minutes up across town to meet them at a coffee shop to have a conversation for an hour that you could have had on Zoom. So I'm personally just fine with getting on a Zoom call as long as you're following a process that gets you the connection you need. Nikki, what do you think?
I will tell you that Zooms are exclusively reserved for people who are out of town and unable to be face to face. And I'll lightly joke. I'll say, you know, Amber, I know that you don't know me yet, but you won't avoid seeing me forever. Once we start looking at homes, you're going to see me anyhow. And this way, you already know my personality. You'll be able to tell if we're the right fit, but I promise I'll make it worth your while. If you bring the kids, I'll have coloring books for them. If you decide that it's easier, you know, you don't want to meet in a cold office, no problem. I'll go to your favorite coffee shop or one that's close to you. But I purposefully try to personalize it, because if I can get in front of them, the signing portion is way easier than for me to try to get somebody to sign things over Zoom and they're far away. I want you to leave as my client. And because that's so important, I'm going to push for an in-person if you're around me.
Makes perfect sense. Anybody else? Questions, comments, thoughts?
Thank you, guys.
We got about 5 minutes. Don't be shy.
Hi, I just wanted to know, like, what are some of the top questions we should be asking buyers about the homes that they're interested in during the buyer consultation?
Walter, do you want to go first or can I?
No, go ahead. Dive in. We kind of, I think, covered that at the beginning of the Zoom, but jump in.
Yep. So for me, Tish, the thing about the deal breaker must-haves and wants is my number one, what are you looking for scenario, because that's going to tell me the most. As you're going through, I shouldn't need a ton of extra questions, because if you say that a pool is a must-have, I'm going to ask follow-up questions based on that. How often do you see yourself using the pool? Is there anybody else who's coming over to use the pool, or is it more of a you and your husband situation, etc.? And then we keep going. So as you're telling me the things and I'm watching us fill them out together, what that's doing is giving me more to expound on. So I don't need a ton of extra questions until I've uncovered must-haves, wants, and deal breakers. And then the what do you love in the current home that you're living in?
Beautiful. Judy, I see your hands up. What you got?
Yes, good morning, everyone. Nikki, this was a spectacular presentation. I've been a residential realtor now for a little over 10 years, and this was truly spectacular. I pride myself on doing that consultation and this discovery and peeling back the layers and dig deeper on the questions. And yet, wow, thank you, Walter and Nikki both.
We're the duo. Walter and I are doing virtual fist bumps.
I'm just a schmuck on a Hawaiian shirt that got to host it today. That was great. No, this was a great call though, without a doubt. Any other comments, questions, thoughts, concerns before we wrap up? I want to make sure everybody has very clarity on how to go do this. And then ultimately, if you've ever been on any of my coaching calls, I always end them with knowledge is not power. You've been told that your whole life, but it's absolute BS. Knowledge is not power. Execution is where the power comes from. So if you just sit on this Zoom call and go, wow, Nikki is amazing, that was great information, and then you don't do anything with it, you wasted your time. Yes. Go execute what you learned. Amber, I saw your hand went up again. What you got?
I have another question. So in creating like the form for them to fill out while we're looking at houses and things, should I brand it with myself, or should I should I put my contact information and things on there, or should I make it more general?
I think it only helps you to have it all branded with your information and name and number and everything. That way, even if they get cold feet, but they're shuffling through things in their car a week later and they see it, they're like, oh yeah, and you're tied to it. It would help that way.
Yeah, 100%. Always brand something back to you every chance you get. Harmon, I see your hands up. What you got?
Yeah, I want to ask, how do we set up expectation for the client before showing them house?
By having a buyer consultation with them in advance and telling them, here's what you can expect through this process. What I'm telling them that they can expect is, this is step one. This is your buyer consultation. The next step is the fun step where we start to look at homes. The next step after that is that we will start submitting offers. The next step after that is that we will be under contract. Here's what you can expect. And then finally, we will have closed. And when we close, my goal for you is that you want to leave me a 5-star review and tell all of your friends, which means at any point, if I'm doing something that makes you feel as though I wouldn't get a 5-star review, or there's something that I should be doing better, tell me, because the greatest compliment could be that you want to tell everyone else that you had such an excellent experience that you'd want everyone else to have the same. But each of those has talking points throughout. So I'm letting them know, and I'm picturing in detail what negotiating under contract looks like, what it looks like while we're looking at homes, what it looks like in the waiting period and timely responses from emails, et cetera, et cetera. But that's what setting expectations is. It's not just let's talk about a home. Here's what's going to happen in order for us to get to the finish line.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. All right, folks, we are right on time. So I'm going to wrap it up there. Thank you so much, Nikki, for jumping on with us today. This is fantastic. I'm going to challenge everybody on the call between now and Friday. So you got 48 hours. Go through every single active buyer you have and ask yourself the question, have I done an actual thorough consultation with them? Do I actually know exactly what they're looking for in a house? And if you don't, go have that conversation with them. Just reach out and say, hey, I just wanted to circle the wagons and ask a few extra questions as we dive into the time of the year where it's a great time to be out actively shopping for houses, because some people are taking a break over the holidays. You can get a better deal. Let's have a conversation and then work this exercise with those buyers to set yourselves up and start closing some deals in 2026. All right, folks, that is all we have today. Thank you so much. You guys have a great day.